Hey everybody, my name is Mfawa Alfred Onen, aka Murphy. Most of you know me online with the alias Murphy Compo. Uh, Today we are going to walk through the installation of Wi-Fi Hotspot Manager. This is a very cool software developed by Dirk van der Walt. The software has been around for some time now, and a lot of people have picked it and have been so interested in the software that it actually allowed me to come up with a guide on installing the Wi-Fi hotspot manager on Red Hat and CentOS back in 2009. This video will be a follow-up, basically an update to what the guide has actually shown you, because some of the things are actually dated and the software has actually evolved over time. And the current release of CentOS as at the time of recording is 6.0 or 6.3, as you can see. So there's a lot of assumptions I'm going to make in this video. For those of you who are really starting from scratch, I will recommend you get up to speed with Linux. Basically, I expect you to have known how to copy files back and forth from your Linux to your Windows machine if you're running that, or how to set up your YUM repository. So those you will have tutorials on those without actually having to watch this video. So the scope of this video basically is to set up the Wi-Fi hotspot manager, and I'll try my best to try and be audible. I've had people tell me that even though they can make up most of what I say, they would have preferred I put some subtitles. So, which I guess if I have time, I might consider putting some subtitles. But for now, just bear with me, okay? So, this video will really not to take so much of your time. I would prefer to actually keep it under 1 hour or less. This is so that it doesn't become so boring at some point. So I will be pausing the video at some time. So you guys, if you're ready, then we can dive right in. In terms of hardware, what I have on screen right now is I'm running VirtualBox. This is just to emulate or simulate, or I think the best word is virtualize the hardware that you might be using. So in your own case, you might be using a real dedicated box for this, but for me, just to demonstrate the installation and the process, I will basically be using a virtual machine. So the virtual machine, in terms of specification here, I have it on the, if you click on settings here, basically system. So once it comes on, I have 1 gigs of RAM. You can see that. You can see my storage, I have just the normal 8 gigs hard drive. You can see here 8 gigs. And for network, I have 2 network cards. This because basically if you're running Wi-Fi hotspot manager as your gateway, then you need to set up NAT and IP forwarding. So but if you are not using that, if you're just using it as a billing machine, then 1 NIC will suffice. Alright, so that's the first requirement. So basically I have a basic install, minimal install of CentOS 6.x. So I'm going to go ahead and load up my CentOS DVD here. So the reason I'm loading up the CentOS DVD is because I have actually intentionally disconnected this computer from the internet. So this will actually force me in installing all the packages from the DVD. So but if in your own case, if you have a high-speed internet connection, then I will recommend you use that and you actually update your system to the latest version. So I don't want to sit down here and waste the time of everybody here just trying to update my box, and I don't want to show that on video. So that's the reason why I'm running the YUM update. So, and because the screen, the real estate of the screen here is really very small, I would prefer to open Putty. I have Putty already loaded, and I'm going to create a connection to my box. So I'm just going to log in to the box. Alright, so I will maximize that or try to put it within the width of this video. Alright, so basically that's that. So let me basically show you one more thing here. Okay, so this you can actually do by just inserting the disk into your CD or DVD-ROM drive. So that's if you want to really install it from the DVD or the media. Alright, so the first thing I do usually when I have a basic install is to create a directory in the media directory. So basically I create a subdirectory called CD-ROM in the media directory. This is because I will be mounting the DVD ISO into the media CD-ROM directory, and then I will set up YUM to install from this location. So to do that, first of all, I will need to mount the DVD So this might be different in your own case, the location of the DVD on the device directory. So you can see here that mount block device mount read only, so it means I've successfully mounted the CD-ROM drive, just to show you that this is correct. So if I get into this, you can see I can see the content of the ISO on the image on my system. Alright, so the next thing I do is I run the yum, and then I run the disable repo. So disable repo, and this is how you disable all the repositories using yum, and then I enable just a specific repo that I might be using. So in this case, I'm using the C6 media. The reason I'm using the C6 media is just to show you again. If I go to the etc yum.repos.d/CentOS media, basically I don't have nano, so we'll install that in a minute. So let me use vi. You will see that there's already a yum group called c6-media, and you can see the command I was trying to type here. Right, so this will copy, and I will escape from nano, clear the screen. This is just to show you where I'm having the command from. So after typing this, I will now type the install, and then I'll install basic software like nano. And for now, let me just install nano, then I'll show you how to install the group packages just to avoid the time. So this will go ahead and install nano, accept the CentOS key, alright. So since this installation is complete, I will link you to some of the scripts and some of the text files that I'll be using in this video, so that you can actually just follow as I actually go ahead and show you. So I've created a directory, a folder here in my Windows box. I called it Wi-Fi tools, and in there I've downloaded the free radios server. I've actually compiled the RPM. I've created the RPMs. You can see here on CentOS 6. Right, so I'm going to show you a typical workflow of how to recompile this on your machine. I've downloaded the Cakephp 1.2.5. The reason why we're using the old version is because the Wi-Fi hotspot manager was written to support the 1.2.x branch of Cakephp, so this is for backward compatibility. We've downloaded the pptpd 1.3.4 RPM. This is because it's not available on the CentOS DVD itself. Then we've gone ahead and downloaded the various Wi-Fi packages from the SVN sites. So this is just to save some time. So what I'll be doing is I have this file, the yum package requirements. So if I open my text editor here, you can see I've created some sections here. I call this groups. So what I'll be doing is I'll be installing some of the groups on the media. So let me just recall the command. So the command to install groups is basically just typing group install. So I'll use the -y option. The -y option is just to accept the confirmation, and then it continues. Alright, so I'm going to paste what I copied, so I need to copy that again. Okay, so the group web server, so I'm going to hit enter. Right, so you can see this has resolved so many of the dependencies, and it's going to install 54 megs worth of packages under the web server package. So I will basically allow this to finish, and then we can install the next group as well. Alright, so the package is complete. The next package we need to install is the Mysql database server. So we're going to be using the Mysql database server. So we also install that. So allow it to run, and once it's done, then we install the next package, which is development tools. So let's copy that. Okay, so the installation is complete. So the next group we're going to install is the development tools. The reason why I'm installing the development tools is because I will be showing you how to compile free radios, and then we will require most of the packages in this case. So this is a big installation file, so you might be patient. You need to be patient anyway, just to allow it complete the installation of the files. So once you complete the installation, the next thing we need to do is we need to disable the SE Linux package. This is a security enhanced Linux software that acts as an application layer, a firewall. So if we don't disable this, then it's going to actually stop most of the applications we will be running, for instance Apache and some other softwares or packages. So to do that, we need to edit. I'm using Nano now because I've installed Nano. So in the sysconfig directory, we edit the SE Linux file. At the moment, you can see it's set to enforcing, so we need to change that to disabled. But once we run the get enforce command to check if it has changed, you can see it's still enforcing. This is because it is already running in the in memory, so we need to set that, set enforce. We need to disable that. Set enforce, we need to put that to 0, and when we run the get enforce command again, you can see it has changed from enforcing to permissive. So this will allow us to run our software. At this stage, most people will prefer to just reboot the server, so this is not necessary because this will permissive is enough to allow us pass. Alright, so once we've enabled that, we need to go ahead and install some additional packages. You can see that I've grouped them under packages. This is also required by Wi-Fi hotspot manager to allow us install most of the graphics package. And in this case, you can see image magic, you can see PHP, Mysql, PHP devel, and so on. So this will also resolve for dependencies and install other packages. In addition, you can see the RPM dev tools. This will allow us to compile create the necessary directories that will allow us compile or kind of recreate the RPMs for the free radios package. Right, so copy that, go back to our terminal. Alright, so we need to change this to install, and then we paste all the packages, as you can see. So depending on the dependencies it's going to resolve to, you might have to kind of wait through the installation. You can see 118 packages are basically 88 packages, so 118 megabytes. So this will also, just depending on your speed of your machine, will basically take a while. So you need to also be patient and allow it to run through. Okay, so once the installation is complete, as you can see on the screen, we need to also disable the SE Linux firewall. So the IP tables firewall, at the moment, if you run the IP tables and you run with the -L flag, you will notice that it basically locks down the system. You can see in this case it only accepts the SSH connection and rejects everything here. You can see prohibits. So to fix that, in order to fix that, we need to flush the IP tables table. Okay, so the reason we're doing this is because some people prefer to kind of start up this way, allow everything locked, and then they open applications as they require, basically ports as they need. In my case, I prefer to set up the system and then lock it down later. It's really just very convenient because then I know what is stopping what anyway. So but it's a matter of preference for you to set it up in any way you prefer. So in this case, we're going to flush the IP tables. So if I run the IP tables with the -L flag again, you can see now it's empty. So we need to save the state of the IP tables so that it takes effect. Alright, so we save that. Alright, so now we are ready to start. So the first thing we need to start in this case is to ensure that the Apache web server is on or is started. So the first thing we need to do is we make sure it starts on boot. So we type httpd apache httpd on. Basically, some people prefer to set it at specific run levels. So because the server will be running on run level 3, basically you can just set it at level and then we put 3, 4, and so on. So but basically it's easier to just put it on like this, so it's just applicable to one of the run levels, just in case. Okay, so we need to also ensure that the MySQL the server is on. Alright, so we start httpd start. Alright, so you can see the OK here, meaning it has started successfully. So we need to also do that for the MySQL daemon. Right, so usually the first time it starts, it tries to initialize the database, and once it's done, we can go ahead and run the MySQL secure installation script that ships with the MySQL daemon. So this allows you to lock down your server at the initial stage. So because this user USRS bin is already in our path, we can easily just type the MySQL secure installation path. But if you're logged in as an ordinary user, in this case because I'm logged in as root, then you will need to run this path in full. Alright, so now in case, let's clear the screen and let's run the MySQL secure installation script, and then you can see here that it says the current password for the root user of the database. At the moment there's no password, so I just press enter. Do we need to set a password? In this case I'll type yes. What's the new password? Then I'm going to type a very secure password. Alright, so it comes default with the sample user, they call the users. So do we need to remove anonymous users anyway? So type yes. So do we need to disallow root login remotely? No, at this stage because I'm logged in as a root user. Do we need to remove the test database? I'll type yes. Do we need to reload the privileges? I'll type yes. Alright, so once you've done that, MySQL is installed and you can connect to it by using the -u flag and the -p to specify the password. And here you can see that we've successfully logged into our database. So this is supposed to be alright. So the next thing we need to do is to copy the necessary files to the path and the document root. So to do that, I've already, like I showed you earlier, I created a directory that I copied all the files to. So I need to copy all those files to the directory that we'll be using. So to also do that, I've already set up WinSCP. I've set up all the credentials, and I'll just click login. So WinSCP will go ahead and log in to the server. Alright, so the first thing I prefer to do is to create a directory. Basically I call it tools. Right, so in the server right now I can now copy the files to the tools directory, so I can just easily drag and drop. For those of you that you can't see very well, let me minimize the window, let me bring it to view so that you can see right how we're copying the files. So from this path I can just drag and drop. Alright, so I hit copy, and this should go ahead and copy all the files to the server. Alright, so right now to confirm that I have everything in the server, because I'm logged in the root directory, you can see I have a tools directory as well. So if I go into the tools directory, you can see here that I have all the files as mentioned. So the first thing we need to do is to set up the Cakephp installation. You can see the Cakephp here is the 1.2.5.zip. So we unzip the Cakephp installation, allow it to run through. So once it's complete, we need to move it to the document root of our Apache. So in CentOS, the document root is located in the var.html directory. We're going to call it C2. This is the requirement for the Wi-Fi cakes setup. Okay, so once we've done that, we can navigate to the document root, and if you do an ls-l, you can see that this belongs to the root user. So since we want Apache to maintain the files in the document root, we can go ahead and make it recursively the owner of all the files in the C2 directory. So if I run the command again, you can see that it now belongs to Apache user. Alright, so once we have that set up, we need to also edit the Apache or the PHP Apache and PHP configuration files. So we need to go back to the etc httpd conf directory. This is where Apache stores its configuration file. If you do an ls, you will see the httpd.conf file. So I use nano again, httpd.conf file, and in this case we're going to ensure that we have something set up already. So the first thing we need to check is the mod rewrite. We need to ensure that the mod rewrite is enabled. So you can see here it's enabled. If it's disabled, you will see the hash or the pound sign, something that looks like this. So in this case it's enabled by default. We need to also ensure that the deflate package is on or is set.